What's going on, guys? Today is December 4th, 2016. I'm going to be going over some trade ideas for this week. This is my Twitter handle. If anybody's interested in following me, you find a lot of information that could be helpful to you during the trading week. And again, if you're interested in trading with me at Iceman Trading, just private message me or email me at barrymohan81@gmail.com. So let's get into some of the names that I'm looking at for this week. First one on this week's list is Tsla. There's a possible bottom area here that I'm looking at, and so what I'd like to see is some sort of an inverted head and shoulder pattern that's kind of taken form into this range over here. So as long as the chart can hold up against this range over here with obviously a risk to the head, I think we could possibly see some reversal coming in. We do have the indicators reset in a couple consecutive days, 4 consecutive days of sell-off here. Chart got rejected at the 50 EMA, so we're not trying to buy at the 50, seeing that it keeps getting rejected at that range. But we can obviously try to play some of the formations that may set up, and this one obviously is an inverted head and shoulder. So obviously your entry would be right down into this 180 level, risking the head, which is down to about 170.78 or something. So that's a possible setup for this week. Obviously, if you are waiting for a breakout trade on something like this, you'd have to respect some sort of a downtrend. Make sure that the chart can break through and hold that downtrend. That'll give you a reversal confirmation. So you can either wait for the reversal confirmation here, or just play the inverted head and shoulder with the wrist down to the head. Next that I'm looking at for this week is Cybr. So there's a possible range down in this one that I do like for a long. Chart is oversold on the MACD. I'm sorry, on the stochastics, and we did find some buyers that came in on Friday's session, printing us an inverted hammer right down at the bottom. So after an exuberant selling, then we have a hammer, an inverted hammer that printed down at the bottom. So we can possibly look at this one for some sort of a long trade. We would need the chart to hold this 47.97, and if it can hold that range right there, it could be a possible long. There's a gap down here, so if the chart breaks that area and you want to wait for the gap to completely fill, you would need to get it down back into this like 46 area. But for right now, we can try to play off that inverted hammer right there, and see if we can get a reversal area. I think if the chart was to reverse, it would come back and try to reclaim this 50 EMA here right into the 50s. So for right now, I'd be looking at this early into the week to see if we can get a reversal off of this pattern. And if it does, you can obviously utilize that low right here off of this Thursday session. That would be for a stop out area. Salesforce is one of them that I'm also looking at this week. We had decent earnings and the chart sold off into that, but now what we're coming down to is a possible double bottom play here. So chart came down to that range and bounced right off, so we're seeing that we can possibly have a nice trade off of this. So what I'd like to see is I'd like to see a little pullback on this one, somewhere to about 67.70, 67.50, somewhere around there, and then risk the low obviously from Friday's session as any reason to stop out of the trade. We do have the stochastics that have gotten oversold here, and a strong couple of red candles that I like to go long into red candles. ETSY is the next one that I'm looking at. Possible hammer right there. We do have a pin bar candle. We have also what could be a possible higher low scenario as the chart's trying to hold that range. So obviously on this uptrend, the chart came through that on Friday and then reclaimed that range, so we can definitely look at that range for some sort of a long. Anywhere at this, if the chart was to test back, this 1170 would be a possible long area, with the risk obviously to that pin bar low candle. DEO, next one on the list here. We have we have a possible double bottom scenario here. So the chart came down and then came off this area, bounced back to it, bounced back to it. So it's more like a triple bottom range. So it's obviously a range trade here. Chart stuck in a little channel for now. So you have a channel from 102.70 something to about 92.70 something. Chart stuck in that range for now. So if chart breaks to the upside, obviously it's a long. And if it breaks to the downside, then it's obviously a short. So you can play the bottom of the channel to try to get it back to the upside, hold some for the what if chance that it breaks through. Or if it gets up to the top of the channel, you can also play a short. Obviously you have areas of resistance at the head. So you have two ways to play this chart. At the bottom, obviously I would like to play a long, risking the ultimate low candle here. And if a chart comes up to the top, I'd like to play a short. So until it breaks out of this range here, it's stuck within this zone. But it does have a nice couple points within this range. So there could obviously be a chart, a play in between. CSOD is the next one on the chart here. There's a nice retrace off of this range here. The move came up here, 50% retrace. So I do like this. It's a little bit more than 50. I do like this retrace here. Nice strong candle that printed on Friday's session. We do have our MACD that just started to come back off of the bottom here, and it's kind of flattening out. Some volume came in also into Friday's session. So for me, what I'd be looking for on this one is obviously I need that candle to hold and that bottom range to hold. So for me, I'd like to play this one on the long side. Any pullback to about 33.70 with risk to about 32.70. So it'll be a 1 point risk obviously if you're playing it on a daily time frame. There could obviously be a tighter range if you're just doing a day trade on it. RUN. So this one, I like the range that it's flagging at here. Chart pushed up, making higher lows into this little range. Now it's at this point it's a tight little channel that it's in. Okay, obviously it's in an uptrend channel, but it's a tight little channel. Bullish Harami on Friday's session, some decent volume coming in. I'd like to be long off of it as long as it can hold that channel. The minute it breaks the channel, obviously it's a reason to get out, but for right now you can play the long off of it. Try to see if the chart can reclaim this 50 EMA here, which is right above the 550 level. A close over there would obviously be bullish, and a range up to about $6 could be in sight if the chart was to hold that range, obviously. Agio is a nice fib trade. So chart pushed up from this range, pulled back right to 50%, and it is also coming right into this right into the 50 EMA here on the daily chart. So I'd like to play AGIO on the long at this $55 range, and as long as the chart can hold, we do have support from here that'll obviously come back into here. And so we do have support at the $55 if you want to play it off the 55. So if the chart comes into the 55 and holds, then that signals for a buy and a possible trade into the remainder of the week. Lululemon, inverted hammer right at the bottom of the trend here. This is also a channel trade. Chart stuck in a range here for a little while. It's a huge bear flag if you look at it on a bigger time frame. It's a really huge bear flag, and that should signal that the chart wants to break down to the downside. It did peek through the bottom on Friday's session, and so what I'd like to do is I'd like to be short on this, but I need some sort of a retrace. So what I'm looking for is a possible double top off of Friday's session to get in on the short position, and obviously add if it breaks the Friday session's lows. So I'm looking for a short on Lulu here. And so I'd need some sort of a retrace first, and then I'd look for a continuation to the downside. Last one on this week's list is FOXA. Chart had a nice huge bearish engulfing, topping candles coming in here. Stochastics are overbought. We do have a decent selling candle right there. So what I'd like to see is I'd like to see a pushback on this one. Probably bring it back up into this range over here, which is probably about 2760s, 2770s, somewhere around here. And that's where I'd like to take a short position. There would be enough resistance areas here to give me that confirmation on a short as long as it gets rejected at that 27, 60, 70 range. So those are the 10 that I'm kind of looking at for this week, and I do hope that they can provide some sort of a trading opportunity for you guys. So have a great week. Play safe. Wait for those setups, and I'll talk to you guys next week.